All right, so today let's have a block and we will start lying down with the shoulders on the block, the legs in Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees to the side, or if you would rather have them straight, that's fine. You could have those legs straight. Okay. So making your way onto your mat, onto your block. Getting that physical body settled in. Taking a few deep breaths, letting that breath help you. Inhale, expand, exhale, drawing in, grounding in. And then in the next few moments, finding a place to arrive, letting that body settle into a little bit more stillness, and bringing your attention to the breath. Letting that breath get a little longer, a little deeper, a little more easeful. And then we'll send the breath pouring out through the arms, through the fingertips, extending a little actively through the arms, breathing those arms wide along the side and up overhead, palms facing the ceiling. You can interlock the thumbs here for a moment if you like, getting a little bit more stretch. Two long parallel sides, down through the arms to the shoulder blades to the sitting bones. And then releasing the hands, bringing the arms wide down the side, all the way back alongside. And then we'll breathe those arms up overhead again. The snow angel arms, breathing them up. Interlock the thumbs or not. Take a deep breath or two here. And then reaching wide and back down alongside. And we'll do that once more. Breathing those arms up overhead, pausing. And then breathing those arms wide down the side. And settling into stillness for another breath or two. And if your legs aren't straight, sliding them out to straight. And then making your way up to sitting. And there's those legs extended out in front of you. And using the hands from behind, taking a little press forward and up, reaching through the feet. And then coming forward a little more, just where your body needs to go at this point in time. Doesn't need to be the biggest forward bend ever. And And coming up, and we will go to Sukhasana, the crossed legs. Another lift from those arms behind, finding that long and spacious spine, whatever little squinging or shifting you want to do. And then slowly release with the arms, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale. Finding that balance between effort and ease. Enough strength up through the core so you can soften the shoulders, soften the face. Breathe deeply and easily. And one more deep breath here. And then we'll take a twist to the right. Big inhale long through the top of the head. Exhale, twisting to the right. And then reaching back through that right arm, it'll come a little bit off the floor. Maybe you can get the arm parallel to the floor, but don't tilt that left shoulder down too long, parallel sides. And then continuing, taking that right arm into the half binding, wrapping that around into the left hip or along the left sacrum. And coming back to the center, let's change the cross of the legs. And we'll take our twist to the left. Inhale and exhale. Every breath a subtle action. And then reaching back through that left arm. Hand comes off the floor, and then lifting the arm as high as you can up to parallel without tilting that right shoulder forward. Too long parallel sides. And then into the half binding, pressing the back of that left arm around. And back to the center, and we will come forward. Inhale and exhale, pouring over. And then finishing with this, and making your way back up on top of those sitting bones. Everything arrives long through the top of the head again. And bringing those legs in, and we will come around and onto all fours, taking a few cats and cows, rounding up, feeling that whole spine, lengthening out, and doing that a couple times. And then we're going to do the side bending version. So a little bit of a cat back as we shift the over toward the right. A side bend on the right, contracting into the left side. You can even look a little bit to the left. And then really cat back to lift up and over through the center. And side bend over on the left. So hold that a moment, really finding that. And then continuing cow down through the middle. And then let's go around like that 3 more times. Up and over and around. Oh, I think we need 1 more, 3 more times. So 4 times, once more. And then we'll go the other way. So going slow, a little cat back lift as we lean out to the left, maybe turning the head to the right. Feeling that lengthening of the left side, a little contracting of the right. And then lifting up in the center, up and over to the right, pausing there a moment, deepening into this. And then slinging cow back down through the center. 4 times around, left to the right. And finishing with that, taking a pull back into child's pose, lifting up the base of the wrists, and then letting those arms soften back. Taking a couple deep round breaths here. And then we will come up in downward facing dog. And as usual, walking the dog or anything else you want to do. And then finishing up whatever you're doing to find the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. And then bending the knees, coming down, pulling back into child's pose just for a moment, lifting the wrists, sinking back. Deep breath, expanding back up and downward facing dog. And then looking up at the hands, making sure that middle finger is pointed straight forward, a little space between the fingers, that whole palm of the hand into the floor, fingertips, the knuckles, the base of the wrists. And then pressing back with the legs, reaching the heels for the floor. And let's lengthen forward to the plank, resisting with those legs. Coming to the plank, long and flat against the ceiling, breathing here. 4, 3, 2, one. And we're going to make our way onto our stomach by any means you like. I'm going to kneeling chaturanga down, which is setting the knees down into the kneeling plank and lowering down to the floor. And then we'll all bring our arms forward and into the Sphinx, extending from the elbows out through the fingertips, pulling a little forward and up, reaching back through the legs. And then keep reaching through the left leg as we bend our right leg. Right heel and upper back, feeling a connection. And then extending that right leg back out. And then bending the left. Keep extending the right leg though. And feeling that heel to upper back on the left side. And extending that left leg out. And once again, reach long, right leg bends. And extending the right leg back and left leg. And extend the left leg. Taking a few more breaths here. If you have the space, maybe the elbows can lift. And then we'll come down and making our way back up to downward facing dog. A little ripple on the way. And going through the vinyasa or not. Forward to the plank or kneeling plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog, or some other version. And then looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over, taking a few breaths here in the forward bend. Are you balancing the weight between the heel and the ball of the foot? Pulling equally up both legs. Sometimes we sort of stand on one leg a little more than the other. Are you still breathing deeply and easily? And then we will make our way up to standing, extending up or rounding up. Big front body yawn. Pressing those arms down. And let's take a circle with the shoulders front to the back. 3, 2, and 1. And then other direction, 1. And then breathing those arms up overhead and getting hold of the elbows. So I'm going to turn and face you here. Let's see, and I'll be the mirror, hopefully. We're going to go up and over to the left side, stretching out that right side, and then a little bend in the knees and rounding down and forward with the bent knees, and then coming up, extending the knees, and on the side bend over to the right, big lift back up in the center. Let's do that 3 times around. Up and over and around. And finishing up, we're going to let go of the elbows and extend the arms straight, and then diving over into the forward bend. Taking a few breaths here. And then making our way back up to standing. Big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down. Then we'll do the same circling around to the other direction. Bringing the arms up. Getting hold of the elbows. So we're going up and over to the right first. Stretching the left side. And then bending the knees, carrying yourself forward and over. Opening up that right shoulder to bring you back up. And then a big lift up through the elbows 3 times around. Over to the right, center, left, and back up. Twice more. And finishing up, release the arms and coming forward. And then continuing as usual, concave back, folding over, jumping or stepping back through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And let's lift the right leg up, reaching long through the heel, reaching down into the floor, and through to the lunge. And we'll bring that left knee down to come up in Vinyasadana, the kneeling lunge. And then let's circle the arms. We're going to go around twice, breathing those arms down the back and up the front. Pause a moment with the arms overhead, centering there again, and then once more around. And namaste in front. And then namaste into the floor. Straighten up the left leg, turning to the left and all the way to the back of the mat. So now I'm in my low lunge facing the back of the mat. Not to worry if your screen is now behind you because we're doing the same thing we just did. Bringing that right knee down, coming up in Vinyasadana. And then circling the arms, big reach around the back and up overhead, pausing a moment there, and then another circle around. And namaste in front, and namaste into the floor, straighten up the right leg, stepping back to the plank, through the vinyasa, and downward facing dog. And we're going to lift the right leg up again. Right leg lifts again. And through to the lunge. This time we're coming up in the high lunge. Not to worry, nothing complicated if you can't see. Coming up in the high lunge. And then we're going to interlock the fingers, turn the palms up to the ceiling, and extend the arms up. 2 long parallel sides, base of the wrist to the sitting bones to the floor. And coming down, going through a short sort of elephant rider, back around to the left lunge, which is the front of your mat now, and coming up in the high lunge.
And let's interlock the fingers. Turn the palms to the ceiling, extending those arms up, two long parallel sides going up and going down. And bring those hands down. Stepping back to the plank, through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then let's make our way onto our stomach again, forward to that plank. Let's see, let's knees, chest, chin as the default, but you can take any route you like. Big arch in the back, upper chest down and forward, sliding out into the small cobra, and coming down. And let's interlock the fingers behind, rolling the shoulders out. And we'll lengthen to lift in Salabhasana. And then slowly release the hands. Keep the palms facing each other like you're squeezing a ball between your hands. And then we'll reach the arms wide to the side and forward. Squeeze that ball out in front of you. Let's do that twice more. Bringing the arms back, squeeze the ball. Arms forward and squeeze. Once more back and forward. Holding here in extended Salabhasana. And then coming down. Breathing. And then we will peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog. If you want to put in another vinyasa there, go ahead. And we'll do kind of the same thing we just did, but with a couple different things around leading with the left, but the same idea. And let's lift the left leg up. And through to the lunge. Bringing that back knee down, coming up and then Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And then let's twist to the left, reaching the arms wide, right elbow across. And namaste in the center. And straighten up that right leg. Just passing through around to the right leg, which should be the back of the mat. And bringing that left knee down. Coming up in Jayasana. And we'll twist to the right. Wide arms, left arm hooks across, and then bringing that right hand around to namaste. And namaste in the center, straightening up that left leg, stepping back to the plank, through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. And then we'll lift the left leg up again. And through to the lunge, coming up in the high lunge. And we will twist to the left, wide arms parallel to the floor for a moment. And then bringing that right elbow to the left knee. Really extend back through the right foot there. And then hands to the floor, pivoting around to the right lunge, which should be our designated front of the mat. And then coming up in the high lunge once again. And we'll twist to the right, arms parallel to the floor. And then left elbow to the right knee, hands to namaste. Really extend through that left heel. And into the floor. Stepping back to the plank through the vinyasa or not. Downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And then coming up. And let's sit over toward our right hip. So I'm not the mirror right now. And extend the left leg out. So we're in the half dragonfly or the VinyasaSat position. All right, let's take a short forward here to get settled in. And coming up. So keep reaching actively through that right knee, through that left foot, standing on those sitting bones as we twist to the right toward the bent leg. And then left hand onto the left leg and reaching out and up and over with the right arm into the side bend over the left leg. Parvrita Janushirsasana. And then really pulling that right arm back to bring you up. And pulling your left leg in, coming back to that simplified virasana. Take a breath. And then we'll sit over onto the left and extend that right leg out into the half dragonfly. And then sitting very actively, reaching through that right leg, reaching through the left knee, and we'll come forward. And coming up. Let's twist to the left towards your bent leg. Inhale and exhale. Right hand onto the right leg. Reaching out with the left arm, coming up and over the right leg. Parvrita Janushirsasana. Going to breathe deeply here. And then as we come up, try to open that left shoulder even more. Pull the left arm back, coming slowly up with a big reach. And retrieving your right leg, coming back into simplified Virasana. And then let's slide forward onto our stomach using that Sphinx to lengthen you out. And then we'll bend both legs. We'll get hold of the heels, or the ankles, that is. Coming up in the boat pose. One more deep breath. Calming down. And then we will peel ourselves up onto all fours with a little ripple. And we'll do a thread the needle shoulder stretch before we continue. So we're going to put the left hand in the center, twisting up and open with that right. And diving the right hand through, walking it out, sinking that right shoulder down. You can keep your right arm folded up, left arm that is folded under, or extract it and do a variation. And then we will go to the other side, right hand in the center, twisting open to the left, and diving that left arm through, walking the hand out, sinking the shoulder down. And then we'll finish with this, extracting that right arm, taking a little pull back in child's pose, couple breaths, letting all that settle in your body. And expanding up to downward facing dog. Taking 3 deep breaths here. And then let's lengthen forward to the plank, and we're going to the side plank, onto the right, up and over, stacking the feet or just pivoting the feet. 2 long parallel sides. Maybe you have an imaginary set of arms doing the interlocked fingers overhead. And then back to the center, and we'll just go over to the left. Really feeling those 2 long extended sides. Using your imaginary arms overhead to lengthen a little more, to find a little more strength from the side body. And back to the center, hinging up to downward facing dog. Deep breath, looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave, back halfway up. Folding over. Another deep breath or two here. And coming up to standing. Big front body. Pressing the arms down. And then take a big circle with the shoulders to interlock the fingers behind and really flex the wrist there. So if you often pull the base of the wrist together for more shoulder stretch, do the flex now. Making a little square there in your hands and wrists so we get a little counter stretch for your wrist joint. And then we'll continue as our usual, lifting up the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin, feeling like you're a little bit in that Salabhasana, on the belly, on the floor. And then slowly release the hands, palms face each other, try to squeeze a ball. Swooping the arms up. Squeezing a ball overhead. And then lift up through the top of the head, a little pull back in those abdominal muscles, and coming forward. Deep breath here. And then we're coming back up to standing. Big front body yawn. Maybe it's a really big front body yawn body now, and arms down long through the top of the head. All right, so let's take a tree pose. Okay, engage my brain. All right, I'm going to need to be the other side of the mat. All right, so tree pose, Vrikshasana, bringing the right leg up. You can use your hand, but I'm just going to lift my leg up. But you can lift it higher using your hand if you like. All right, coming up in the tree pose, lifting that right leg, strong left leg down into the floor. And we're going to take a big step back with that right leg into the elephant rider. Pressing those knees out. And then pressing the feet into the floor, coming up to the three-pointed star. And let's get hold of the elbows. And then lifting up through those sides as we once again bend the knees into a variation of the temple pose or a goddess pose. And then we're going to do that circling around. So I'm not the mirror here, though it doesn't matter because you just have to remember to do the other side next time. So we're going to tilt to the right toward what would be your back leg back of the mat. And then rounding forward and over, and then coming around to the left. So we're keeping our legs bent the whole time here instead of going up and down. and back to the center. Let's do that 3 more times. Around to the right and up the left. And there we are, back in the center. Pull those knees a little wider. Feel like you're trying to pull the elbows wide as well. Straightening the legs. Release the arms to parallel. Turn the feet to parallel. Deep breath. We're going to rotate the left leg out 90 degrees. That should be the leg toward the front of your mat. And keeping that left leg straight. Reaching up with the left arm toward the ceiling. Reach up a little more. And then taking it into a little bit of a side bend right. Tilting into the triangle, Trikonasana. And maybe feeling like you're doing a twist to the right and taking the hands to Namaste, or not. Feeling that twist to the right, bringing that right arm around, left hand up to the right. If you're in the Namaste hands, expanding them back out. And then we'll just come down and around into the wide leg forward bend. Prasarita Padottanasana. Lengthening out, let's twist to the right. That would be your back leg back of the mat. And a little bend in that left knee, sinking the left shoulder down. And then coming back to the center, a couple more breaths here in the wide leg forward bend. And then turning back to the left lunge, which should be the front of the mat. And we're going to go to the right side plank. So there's your hands on the floor. Pivot onto the outer right foot. Step back with the left leg. Here we are in the right side plank again. And then back to the plank. Maybe through a vinyasa here. And the downward facing dog. Breathing 3, 2, 1. Looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave, back halfway up. Folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body on. And arms down, center line up. And we'll do all that around on the other side, which might or might not be the same side I did. All right, other side. So we're going to bring the left leg up into the tree pose. You can just bring the leg up, or you can use your hand to lift that left leg higher. Bringing the left leg up. And then we'll take a big step back to the elephant rider. So now it should be our right leg that's toward the front of the mat and our left leg toward the back, and I'm not being the mirror as we continue. So straightening up those legs into the three-pointed star. Bend the elbows, getting hold of those elbows. Two long parallel sides, reaching up through those forearms as you bend the knees, coming into a variation of the goddess temple pose. And then we'll circle the other way. So going towards your left leg, your back leg. And then down to the center, toward the right leg, the front leg, and up and over. So let's do that 3 more times. Coming around. Try to keep breathing. And then we will finish with that, arriving back in the center, pulling the knees a little wider. Feel like you're pulling the elbows wide. Straightening up the legs, letting go with the arms, turning the feet to parallel. Deep breath. And let's rotate the right leg out 90 degrees and straighten up that leg. And then we'll bring the right arm up. So pause a moment with the arms straight up to the ceiling. So there'll be a little side bending, but think more of a big reach from the fingertips to the sitting bone. And then continuing into a little bit more side bend. And into the triangle, Trikonasana. And then maybe going for the namaste hands. Take a moment feeling like you're twisting left. Bring that left arm around. Right hand comes up to the left as you twist left up toward the ceiling. And then finishing with this, bending that left knee, right knee a little to come around to Prasarita Padottanasana, the wide apart feet pose. And then a little lengthen out, we'll twist to the left toward the back of the mat. And then bending that right knee, sinking the right shoulder a little lower.
And coming back to the center, taking a few more breaths here. And then we'll turn back to the right lunge and into the side plank on the left. So it's like we keep going around to the right some more. And side plank once again. And to the plank, through some kind of Virasana perhaps. And then we'll all be in downward facing dog. Taking 3 deep breaths there. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And then coming up. Let's come up onto our knees and we will Ustrasana. Bringing the hands behind, either the thumb and index finger around or maybe fingertips down. Lengthening up and over. Squeezing together the elbows, lifting up a little more. If you want to reach the heels, you can go ahead and do that. And coming up, lengthening through the top of the head. Let's bring those arms up overhead. So being mindful of how your back is doing. So we're going to take just the right arm down to the right heel, or maybe just onto the right hip. So really feel that left side lifting up. As you lift up, taking the right arm back any amount, but not further than you should. And we'll take a couple breaths here. Lots of strength, lifting that right arm back up. And then the left, up and over. And coming back up. And contracting back. And so you can sit on the heels or do cat and cow on the knees. And taking a couple cats and cows. Coming over a few breaths in child's pose.
And then let's come back up to downward facing dog. So we're going to go through to the lunge, and you can use the kneeling lunge or the warrior number 1. All right, here we are, downward facing dog. Lengthening everything out. And we'll lift the right leg up. Big inhale and exhale through to the lunge. And either the warrior 1 or Anjayasana on the knee. Or you could stay here in a lunge with the hands on the floor. And then like we just did in that camel pose, feeling those arms reaching up, keep the left arm there. Take that right arm back into the left leg. And deepen a little both the lunge and the back bending. And then we're just going to windmill down to the floor and into the pigeon. Walking that right foot across, bringing the right knee down a little to the right. Just taking a breath or two in that cobra action. We've been up long enough in the back bendiness. And then reaching out and over. And then here in the pigeon, as if you could cat back in the pigeon, pull those abdominal muscles in and up. You might actually get a little lift there. So squeezing the abdominal muscles in, making a gentle rounding in the back. And then soften and lengthen out again. And then coming up, and we will make our way back up to downward facing dog. And doing that on the left. So really let yourself be in downward facing dog. Take a breath or two. And then we'll go on the left, lifting that left leg through to the lunge, warrior 1, or whatever you did on the right. And then we'll take that left arm back. So reaching up through the right side, taking the left arm back to the right leg. Lift a little more up and over. Scoop that lunge a little more down and forward. And then a big windmill down to the floor and into the pigeon. Just taking a few breaths here in that cobra action. And then lengthening out and over. And contracting those abdominal muscles up a little, cat back action there. And lengthening that out again. And coming up. And we will make our way down to the floor. Landing on the floor, letting go. And maybe considering what your body needs. And by default, we're going to slide the legs out to straight. And then bend the right leg, right arm out to the side, taking the right knee across to the left. If your body is wanting something else, go ahead and do that. And then we'll come back to the center and go to the other side. Pulling that left knee across. Coming back to the center, and we'll slide that left leg out, coming into Shavasana. And remembering to think about the head and the neck being centered as well, maybe giving them a little lengthen out with the hands. Choosing your arm position. Inhale and exhale, letting go, the eyes close, you sink a little into the floor. Feeling how with every wave of the breath, a little more lets go, you sink a little deeper. And then taking a few more deep breaths here. Inhale and exhale. So just a little further you can go, a little further you can sink in. And then coming back into your body, into the room, moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going, stretching the arms up overhead, bending the knees, and gently making your way up to sitting, to sit in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.